on a journey to find peace within my life. It's time to let go so I can climb to new heights. Nothing can stop me. I know I'm gonna make it to the end. Love is on my side, and I'm sure I'm gonna win. I wanna know the truth.
I wanna know the truth. I wanna know the truth.
Can you tell me?
I wanna know the truth. I wanna know the truth.
I want to know the truth.
Can you tell me?
It's been a long time that I've been searching for the one thing that makes my life complete. And I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna be strong. 'Cause in my heart, truth I'll always see. I wanna know, I'm gonna know. The truth. Can you tell me? I wanna know.
I wanna know the truth. I wanna know the truth.
I wanna know the truth.
Can you tell me?
We are living in a world of so many illusions, so much confusion. I need a strong foundation, the pearl of truth that separates the dark from light, from day and night. Help me change and sacrifice the wrong.
How can I find the truth? Let me count the ways. I can focus on my ancestors to brighten up my day. I can listen to a sage or an elder's wise word. Try some deep meditation where the Most High is served. Because the truth is beautiful, like children playing in the park. Or inside of rhyme ciphers where genius is spark. Be the dark, the light, and all the time that's in between. And you can find mad truth inside a trance station dream. Listen to that little voice, it be telling you for true. And with a bit of divination, show you what you gonna do. Whether it comes abstract or the stone hard fact. 'Cause if it comes from God, it be the truth, that's that. Yo, no need to question, just learn the lesson. And ain't no stretching, 'cause it's truth we're manifesting. Like what? Like what? What? 1, 2, I wanna know
Can
the
you
truth.
tell me? Can you let me know? I need to know the truth. Can you tell me? I really want to know the truth. I wanna know. I gotta know. I need to know the truth. I wanna know. I gotta know. I need to know the truth. I'm on a journey. I'm on a journey. I wanna find my life. Yeah. Nothing can stop me. I'm gonna make it to the end. Love is on my side, and I know I'm gonna win. Oh,
I wanna know the truth. I wanna know the truth. Can you tell me?
Have you been longing for a deeper spirituality to enable you to live a healthier, wealthier, and more successful life? To overcome stress and heal broken relationships? To increase your focus, mental clarity, and resilience to meet difficult challenges and capitalize on major opportunities? MOT, the 11 Laws of Health, Wealth, and Success. A guided meditation course based on the wisdom teachings of ancient Egypt will empower you to do this and much more. The course is designed by Ratwan Nefer Amen, from his 50 years of experience as a spiritual guide for thousands. His own meditation expertise has produced over 40 books and 100 meditation musical compositions, including the internationally acclaimed 7-volume Nefer series that established him as the world authority on ancient Egyptian spirituality. Your Kamitic Meditation course includes access to member-only webinars and guided meditations that will deepen your understanding of the science of meditation and the divine laws that guarantee progress in life. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced meditator, you will benefit from all 11 modules that activate each of the 11 faculties of your spirit. Each module includes detailed instruction on the Kamitic Meditation script. This script, that was uniquely developed by Rawun Nefer Amen, unites the application of the divine laws, affirmations, visualization technique, and mantras into a powerful meditation experience that gets results quickly. Now you can overcome the mental chatter and experience the healing of the meditation state in just a few minutes per day. Invest in your success and well-being. Get all 11 modules and save. Or get started with the 4 powers of the Divine Spirit that lays the foundation for your spiritual evolution. The course is delivered to your mobile device immediately, so get started today.
All right. Hetzepu. Peace and blessings, everyone. Peace and blessings. Let's get our higher consciousness going here. Well, I welcome you to the Kamitic Legacy. And I want to invite you to look up into the sky tonight because there's a new bright star in the heavens. Yes, Ankh Ra Amenhotep. Now one of our great ancestors. We celebrate him today in his life. You've all loved his music, and those of you that are new with us, I'm sure you've been wondering what's the source of that great inspirational music. This beautiful brother, product of the Osaro set, society, the Kamitic spiritual way of life, dedicated himself to the message in the music. So much of what we need today. And his music is still available on iTunes, on SoundCloud, on Google Play. Make sure you check him out. We celebrate this beautiful brother and all of you who are artists, musicians, in any field. You know, you want to express higher consciousness in your work, as you did.
Let's go higher, higher consciousness.
Put some fire in the chat if you feel what I'm saying.
Let's go higher. I'm gonna touch the sky with my mind holding tight. Clouds passing by.
So I am M. Tahuti Kamo, your host for another powerful, I'm sure, podcast, another live webinar with the master teacher, Rawun Nefer Amen. And I'd like you to put a 1 in the chat right now. We have a chat function. If you're in our webinar, Yes, I see the fire, y'all. All right. And the flaming hearts. Yes. Put a 1 in the chat if you're new. If this is the first time you're with us on this platform, the first time that you're going to hear from the great spiritual teacher in our midst. He's the author of the world-known and renowned 7-volume Medunitaire series. All right, welcome, Tiffany, Jacqueline, Shani. All right, welcome. Excited to have you here for the first time. Peace and love. All right, Daryl, welcome on Facebook. We also have some people on our YouTube channel. Colin, welcome. Your first time. I'm excited for you. For real. Beautiful. And we have Tawana, welcome, on our Facebook chat, one of our Facebook channels, with us for the very first time. Excellent. So we're going to get started, but before we do, I want you to know, Denise, welcome. All right, Tawana, beautiful. We got a lot of folks. It's their first time meeting Shechem or Shechem in person, live and direct. And I want you to know that we have a treat for you. You have an access to the recordings of all the webinars that we've done before on our SoundWise platform. And all you have to do, let me get it together here. All right, is type in bit.ly/Kamitcast, bit.ly, bit.ly/Kamitcast. We're fired up. We have almost 1,000 people in the class now. We're on the verge. In fact, I think we might hit 1,000 tonight if you sign up for this while you're on the webinar, and you shoot that out to a couple of friends. At last count, I think there's over 20 hours of powerful information about meditation, about breathing, about Kamitic spirituality. And it's right there for you. It is free 99, as my good brother likes to say. It's available for you to enjoy. And that's where the recording of tonight's very, very important subject is going to reside. So make sure you type in bit.ly, bit.ly/Kamitcast. It'll take you right to the page where you can sign right up tonight. All right. All right, I see a lot of Osirians in the house. Beautiful. A lot of new folks in the house. A lot of people in our webinar room. A lot of people on Facebook with us live. So, our subject tonight is so important. It's so universal. We're going to talk about suffering. We're going to talk about the challenges of earthly life and the challenges that we all face. And it's interesting. I was having another one of those conversations with a 15-year-old son, and we were talking about, how the meter of happiness, it keeps moving, right? We were talking about the fact that you look at the world and you see people who are homeless, you see people who are refugees, you see people in war, all kinds of situations. And you would think that if you're not in those conditions, you would look at that and you'd be like, I don't have any problems. My life is stress-free. I'm not suffering anything. But it just doesn't seem to work that way, right? No matter where we are, there seems to be some missing element that we need. Even when we have a lot of money, we see people with a lot of money that obviously suffer, have mental problems, breakdowns, suicide, all kinds of things. We see people who seem to have a great social profile who have a lot of problems. So this is a critical topic, and it's something that you're going to talk about tonight, but most importantly on Thursday, for those of you who signed up for the course. The course is called Ma'at, 11 Laws of Health, Wealth, and Success. We'll show you how to get access to that. We have special course member only webinars, right? That once you sign up for the course, then you're invited just to a webinar for all the other students, where we can get to ask questions, we can get to get the direct instructions that go along with the class material to make sure, to guarantee that you get everything out of what the class is offering you. So on Thursday, we're not going to talk about it. We're going to actually go into the what exactly to do in deep detail to transcend suffering, right? So you definitely, if you haven't signed up for this course, you want to make sure that you get over to Soundwise. You can follow that same link and you'll see all of our courses. Get yourself enrolled so that we can invite you on Thursday to a private course member only webinar. So at this time, I'd like to bring the course creator to the stage. He is a world-renowned spiritual teacher who has blessed the lives of so many people. Let me get it straight here. All right. And you know him as Nefer, Amen, prolific author, teacher, spiritual guide. And we refer to him in the Osara Society, which is the Pan-African spiritual organization that he founded now in our 50th year. We refer to him by the African title of the leader, and that is the Shechem or Shechem. And Shechem or Shechem, we greet you in the words of power and peace tonight. The power and peace and blessings to you. Anecharak, Shechem or Shechem.
Greetings to all of you.
Great to see you. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing very well, thank you. Always doing well.
That's been my experience with you. That's why I wanted to know the secrets.
You have to let life get you up.
All right. Life gets you up.
That's right.
Not down.
Not down.
All right. There it is.
You were given the control and the power.
Yes. Yes. Well, we have a lot of folks online right now, over almost 250 people in the webinar room. We have people on Facebook and YouTube. I know this is a topic that we definitely want to get into. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you so that you can speak to us tonight about this very important subject of suffering.
Very good. Thank you so much. Let me say good night, good evening to all of the members of the audience that have joined. Thank you for taking the time to share this evening with us. Yes, we're going to talk about suffering. You know, it touches just about everybody's life. The rich, the poor, you know, the sick, the healthy, black, white, Chinese, no matter what you are, where you are, when you are, suffering will come into your life unless you learn how to deal with it, to prevent it. Yes, suffering can be prevented, and suffering need not be. And I want to help you understand that at the end of this lecture here, you will know, you will have a roadmap that you can travel to free yourself of suffering. If you're suffering now, or if something happens, you know, in the days to come or weeks or months that you think, you know, will cause you to suffer, you can change that, prevent that. And I would like to encapsulate tonight's entire lecture. You see that? And the one that we're going to have Thursday for, you know, course members. That when you're suffering, you are suffering from suffering and not from the thing you think you're suffering from. Let me repeat that. When you are suffering, you are not suffering from the things you are suffering from. You are suffering from suffering itself. I said it a little different to help you get it. And let me say just one more time that when you're suffering from suffering, meaning that that's the cause of you suffering and not the thing that you think you are suffering from. You see that? So, what I'm talking about here is for you to isolate the content from the process. You see that? When you're suffering, you're focusing on the content when suffering is really the process, not the thing, not the content that you think is the cause of your suffering. Let's build this statement up. Let's put some flesh and fat onto the skeleton that I've just presented. Let's talk about the act of suffering. You're going through a situation where you tell yourself or you feel that you're suffering. In such situations, you are focused. You focus on the mental chatter. You see that about the things that you think you're suffering from. Okay, and you have visualizations of the cause of what you think caused you to suffer, and a mental narrative, a mental chatter about the consequences, the results, the negative doomsday's results from what you've lost or what you think you will lose, and so forth. So it's important to understand that all that mental chatter and negative image that fills up your mind are not the causes of your suffering, and they are not the content of your suffering. You see that? And because you focus on the thoughts and the images, it keeps you from realizing that the feeling that you're calling emotional pain is really a physiological event. When you are in a state of so-called suffering, you are in a state where you're breathing from the upper chest. Okay? That anxiety, that so-called emotional pain is caused by upper chest breathing, irregular breathing, short breathing. You see that? And because upper chest breathing, as opposed to breathing through the lower abdomen, you see, that upper chest breathing and that irregular rhythmic breathing is associated with the dying process. And that is why people, when they're suffering, they get thoughts of wanting to die socially or physically. Why? Because their body is going through a physiological and biological process that is associated with the process of dying. So that when you're suffering and you says, I will be glad if I die, relieve this pain. They're not understanding that they are simply, translating and interpreting their negative physiological state into what they believe is their will, what they're choosing to do, what they prefer to do to replace what they think is emotional pain. And that concoction, emotional pain, please write this down. There's no such thing as emotional pain. The discomfort, the pain that you experience when you are suffering is not an emotional thing. It's really a physiological event, a negative arrhythmic breathing that generates a cocktail of neurotransmitters. It exhausts your dopamine, which is the joy, chemical of the brain. Okay, it exhausts your tyrosine, which enables you to bounce back and feel joyful. Okay, it exhausts all the biochemical, you know, agents within your brain. You see that you sit down there, responding to the thoughts, the chatter, and the visualizations. You see that feeds, that negative breathing, and tension on the body and things of that nature. And if you stop right now, I give you a few seconds. If you tighten up the shoulders and pull in your body and breathe up in your chest, you will find that you can duplicate the so-called emotional feeling of suffering. You see that? Meaning that the surefire, simple way to get rid of the so-called emotional pain and suffering is to engage in rhythmic, lower abdominal breathing. But of course, you have to learn to do it the right way. But if you were to breathe, you see, properly from the lower abdomen in right rhythm and the right attitude or whatever, it will dissipate, discharge that energy. You see that? And what makes this suffering worse is that the negative thoughts that are coming to you. Okay, when you're in a suffering situation, a lot of negative thoughts come to you, telling you why your life is so rotten and it will not get better. There will be no closure, etc., etc. Okay, and you want to get rid of these thoughts. You want to get rid of these thoughts, and that's the mistake. You see that? Okay, through an act of the will, you want to struggle with the thoughts and images that are visiting you. That's like using your will to lower your blood pressure, raising your will to raise your using your will to raise to raise your libido. You see that? Okay? Using your will to get rid of a headache. No, you have to have some intervening, some third party process to lower your blood pressure. For example, you can meditate. You can use the Zazen meditation. We have a free course in our Soundwise, platform to teach you how to do the Zazen breathing. Okay, that will help you lower your blood pressure. But just thinking your blood pressure to lower will not help. The same way, if you think for that negative mental chatter and visions of doom and losses and being in the poorhouse, the da da da, that we call suffering. If you want to get rid of it with an act of the will, that is a lost struggle. It's futile. You see that? So that's why I'm saying that when you are so-called suffering, you're suffering from suffering. What is suffering? Suffering is that autonomous, involuntary reaction within you, okay, that where your sympathetic system goes into hyperdrive. It get locked into hyperdrive. So your upper chest breathing, your body's tight, and things of that nature. And then you have a cocktail of negative, neurotransmitter running around your brain, your nervous system, you see. And what you need to do is to breathe properly, which is the learn act. You see that? You see that? So what happens is when you're focusing your attention on the thoughts and the visualizations of doom and negativity, and you keep accepting the mental chatter, condemning you, bearing you, saying bad things about you and your outlook or whatever. Instead, you should be focusing on your breathing, focusing on relaxing your body. Okay, just you can will your body to relax, or you can go and do some hatha yoga. Stretch the body because when you're suffering, your body is locked into tension and negative rhythm and place of breathing. But you're not aware that you could relax, super relax your breathing with qigong and with hatha yoga or just deep breathing exercises, zazen, to get rid of that tension and to reverse the negative breathing that you are caught up in. You see that? So understand that when you're suffering, you're focusing on negative content that is not the cause of the problem. The cause of the problem is your physiological response. And that physiological response is akin and allied to the death process. That's why when people, begin to suffer, they just not simply have passing through thoughts about, okay, my life is not, I got financial problems, but they're not having the negative breathing tension that stays there day after day after day for hours, for days, weeks, or months, or whatever. Okay, they have these thoughts of dying, committing social suicide, physiological suicide. And of course, that tension disrupts your breathing cycle and your heart rhythm cycle, your brain, waves, that rhythm, all everything just simply goes out of whack. And that's why you get these suicidal thoughts. Okay, that's why you get these thoughts where you believe that you prefer to die than to continue living the way you are. Then you fall into the trap of using drugs, alcohol, and other drugs to get rid of the what you think is an emotional problem, which is really a physiological problem. So you're adding, physical poisons to your negative physiological state. Why does alcohol work for a time? The alcohol, when you take it, for a little moment, a little bit of it, it helps the body, the brain secretes, dopamine. So you feel pleasure for a while, but eventually you exhaust that dopaminergic, system, and you just simply spiral into, the deep end and drown in, in what you think is negative emotions when it's really a deficiency of neurotransmitters, meaning that if you went on the internet and Google, okay, depression, you know, uh, nutritional supplements for depression, you will see a lot of articles recommending different, amino acids and herbs, St. John's wort and tyrosine and things of that nature. Of course, I just don't go with one website. Read all the articles that you can and make sure you pay attention to the medical caveats because some of these herbs and amino acids might raise your blood pressure or your blood sugar or whatever. So make sure that you know what you're doing and discuss it with your doctor, preferably one who's trained in nutrition. You see that because many doctors will put you on drugs. If you read the little small fonts, the message tell you that this medicine might damage your liver, your heart, might even kill you. So be careful when you take drugs for depression, which is really a chronic state of negative breathing. You see that, and body, tension generating nervous tension and nervous, irregularities. So if you get out there, if you find yourself so-called suffering from something, go to the gym 3 days a week, work out hard. You see, do yoga, da da da. It will get rid of the energy. You see that. Okay. But what happens is that why people don't fully get rid of the problem is because you go to the gym, you do the yoga, you do the qigong, but the propensity to think negative thoughts and have negative visions remain. You see that? And that's where we come now to the Mount 11 laws of health, wealth, and success. You see that? You know, the mental chatter that, that feeds the suffering process is like a broken record. Okay, I know many of you might be too young to know what a broken record is, but in the old days, before we had computers and before we had, you know, smartphones to play our music and things of that nature, we had these discs, okay, that we played, and there was a hand, with a needle that that went along the surface of the disc. All right, and when that disc was messed up, okay, the hand with the stylus that is reading the waves, on the disc will get stuck. So you have to come lift up the hand and replace it. That's what we call, getting rid of a stuck disc, a stuck needle, stuck hand. So what happened is that your mind keeps replaying over and over and over again, pictures and narratives that keep generating the tension and negative breathing and things of that nature. You might go to the gym and reset thing, but then you fall right back into it. Some of you do the yoga, but then you're still doing drugs and and things of that nature. So what we need is an integral, holistic approach. You see that? Meaning that your spirit controls your mind and your psyche. You see that? When you are going through, a suffering in your life, an event, meaning you're stuck in this negative physiological, picture that we call chronic emotional pain. You see that? What you need is to reprogram your mind and your psyche. You have to open up your spirit. The Ma'at 11 laws of of health, wealth, and success is based on the premise that everything in the universe, you see, is controlled by laws. You see, if there was one thing in the universe that was not controlled by laws, that one thing can derail the entire universe. You see that? Okay? It's like that one domino in a series of dominoes. You're tilted, and then all the other dominoes fall. So everything in the universe is controlled by laws. And that includes your mind, your psyche, and your spirit. And your spirit controls your mind and your psyche controls your body and your social life. Let me say it again, right? Your spirit controls your mind and your psyche. The psyche is just simply a Greek word for soul. You see that? And your soul or your psyche controls your physical body and your social environment. There's a lot of esoteric secrets in that statement, meaning that if you awaken your spiritual faculties, all of them, and put them to work for your benefit, it will control your mind, which will reprogram your psyche or your soul, and which will put your physical body and your social environment in order. You see that? So this Ma'at 11 laws, of health, wealth, and success, is based on the laws that governs the faculties of your spirit, 11 of them. You see that? And the course includes the breathing technique that you need to learn to reset the breathing that goes, haywire when you are suffering, from the loss of something or the delay of something, suffering from, some transgression against you, so you're all oppressed. Okay. You're really oppressed by your breathing. You're really oppressed by your lack of exercise. You're really oppressed by your tension, not the thoughts. The statement, stick and stones can break my bones, but words, what can they do? Words will influence, but words are very easy to change. All you need to know is the laws that governs your mind. There are 11 of them, to replace it with the laws that lie to you about who you are. So what keeps that suffering in place is, oh, you're wailing that I'm only human. I can take but so much. Why does this have to happen to me? My goodness, you're a divine being. You're not a human being. Okay? Once you work at reclaiming your divinity, and that's what the ancient wisdom, is trying to teach the world, how to reclaim your divinity. Once you are well on your way to reclaiming your divinity, you will find that your mind and your psyche cannot harass you and damage your life, because you will be in control of the mind, the psyche, and the body. You see that? So the 11 laws will teach you how to breathe, to reset, okay, the breathing, to make it correct. Not only when you are suffering and you're depressed, but, throughout the day. There's a correct way of breathing. Many of you breathe from your upper chest. You see that? Before you go to bed tonight, take some time out, put your hands, on your stomach, flat on your belly button there, and and pay attention to your breathing. Some of you will find that you breathe by lifting your chest. Okay, you should never ever breathe that way. You have to teach your body to breathe from the lower abdomen always, just not when you're meditating. Okay, and I know that there's certain qigong and martial arts technique that they teach you to breathe by lifting the chest. Be careful with those things. Those are for special applications, and it should be only done with the supervision of a teacher. It's not a wannabe teacher, but a sensei, a real sensei, a real sefu. You see that? So or sifu, I should say. So the whole thing is that when you're breathing properly, you are combating negative energy with positive energy. You're not trying to combat the negative energy with the will. That's the fruitless struggle that you will always lose. Okay? You start to will thoughts about, why do I feel this way? How can I get away from this? I'll never do this again. Those thoughts just simply feed the negative. No, don't worry about the chatter. Try to stop the chatter. When you begin to breathe the right way, you will find that those negative thoughts and images will dissipate. You see that? The next thing now is to awaken the spiritual faculties. Some of them or all of them. You see that? If you just awaken, let's say, the Amen faculty, which governs your psyche, your emotions, you see that? Your physiological functions. If you awaken that faculty with the mantra that we teach in the course, you will find that you will be able to eventually reprogram your mind and your psyche from the instruction on how to meditate with that mantra. Om Han Kashang. You see that? That's the mantra of the so-called third eye, which really is the mantra that activates the prefrontal lobe. You see that? Which controls your higher, level of evolution. You see that? So the course will teach you how to write meditation scripts to counter the negative chatter that keeps the suffering going. You see that? And if you have not suffered, don't wait till something happens to cause you to suffer. Okay? Because the spiritual faculties that will eradicate and block the suffering will also help you to achieve, optimum health, wealth, and success. So at this point, I have a lot more to say, but I will say them within the context of your questions. So please go ahead and shoot. Let's have fun.
All right. So if any of you have any questions, you can get ready to put those in the chat. And Shechem, I would like to ask you on this subject of suffering, because it is something that in the spiritual world, we've been taught by some people that the world is a place of suffering, and that we need to learn how to rise to our higher self so that we can escape having to come into the world, this type of line of teaching. And we also see that in the sense of people that try to zone out, or it's as if suffering is inherent to being in the physical form or being in the physical world.
Well, suffering is the experience of a negative state of being. You see that? And you are in that negative state of being because no one taught you that when you are experiencing that state of being, to correct your physiological system, awaken your spiritual system, to reprogram your mind and your psyche. Let me give you an analogy here, right? Let's say you had an accident in your knee, and every time you walk, it is painful. All right? You go to the doctor, the osteopath, or the doctor that deals with different, chiropractor, whatever, and they recommend that you have therapy, physical therapy, right? They teach you to use your to walk different. They might get a special shoe for you. They put a boot on you, and they give you physical therapy to fix that problem. You see that? And that's what suffering is. Suffering is nothing else but an uncultivated response to certain challenges in life that is telling you, go get therapy, meaning spiritual instruction. You see, and how to change your mental patterns, your thought patterns, your breathing patterns, and things of that nature. So the world is not a place of suffering. That is a mistake that the Hindus made in the yogic system, and they say, and that's why you don't want to come back. You want to achieve nirvana, so you don't have to come back again. And there's a built-in contradiction in there, meaning that if I achieve nirvana in this life, it means that I have learned not to suffer anymore. So if I learn not to suffer, I can come back into earth because I will not suffer. I've already mastered, you see, the suffering. So I can come back and do what? Help others. Learn not to suffer. Help others learn how to achieve the best in your life. You see that? Suffering is nothing else but, a negative physiological, response to that becomes chronic, crystallized. You see that? So, something wrong happens, you have a negative response, you're tense, your body tenses up, your breathing goes haywire, so you feel this physiological tension that you call suffering. So once you learn, you see, to change and reprogram that response of your body and the mind and the psyche, you will no longer have that so-called suffering anymore. Okay? The world is a place of challenges. Challenges to what? To you to transcend the human to become a divine being. That's what the earth is for. And before you begin to put the spiritual response in place, the mind and the psyche will give you physiological pain. It's just simply the ox goad, the goad, what's goading you to get your spiritual thing together. You understand that? That's what suffering is. Okay? It's a temporary thing. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And what would you say to people that, and I guess all of us, we seem to think that there are certain levels to it. Like, when you say, okay, if you stub your toe or you have a relatively minor situation, that you can do some deep breathing and you can get over that. But if you lose a loved one, or, we see people in very tragic, traumatic situations of abuse or war or whatever, that's not just something that you can, that's inherently painful.
It's not inherently painful.
Mm.
It's what you've learned or not learned in life. You see that? Okay. Uh, a loved one dies. You experience a pain. That pain is physiological, not so-called emotional.
Mm.
Emotional pain does not exist. It's a physiological, process that you're going through. You see that? And since that physiological process is damaging to your well-being, okay, a loved one dies, you go through that physiological process you call suffering, grieving. If you allow that to continue, it would damage your brain, your health, or whatever. Okay, going through that pain doesn't prove that you love the person any more than the other person who is at peace. You
Mm.
see that with the situation, the person who is at peace is the person that's going to be able to take care of the business of the funeral, to take care of the family, to take care of things. You see that? Because the person who indulges the pain, you understand that, to continue, that person will destroy their health and well-being. You
Mm.
say, I understand, I get it. Good, loved one dies, bam, you're slammed physiologically, but you call it emotional pain. And since emotional pain is not a thing, it doesn't exist, you don't know what to do with emotional pain.
Mm.
But if you call it by the right name, it's, you know, you're locked into tension, negative upper chest breathing, irregular breathing. You see that? Then you say, okay, I can deal with that. There's hatha yoga, there's qigong, there are breathing schools, there are, people who are breathing counselors. I can deal with that.
Mm.
Okay. And then now the mental chatter, okay, there's meditation for that, mantras and special breathing meditations, mindfulness meditation will help you get rid of the mental chatter that feeds the grief and the suffering. Okay, and then now we have mantras that awaken the spiritual faculties. You see that? Okay, and things of that nature. And then now there are also biochemical agents like certain nutritional supplements. You see that? Okay, if you make sure that you're getting all of the proper vitamins and then the special nutrients that you can put into your diet, you see that, so that you can replenish, the neurotransmitters and the brain opioids. You
Mm.
follow what I'm saying? Like that, these things get the moment somebody dies and you have like bam, it hits you, you become drained of your storehouse of dopamine, and brain opioids and things of that nature, and you need to replenish that with supplements. Go on the internet and read up about neurotransmitter of joy, and depression and things of that nature. You need to, there's a name for it, um, category, adaptogens.
Mm.
It's the whole cat. If you go to the internet and you Google adaptogens, you're going to find that there's about some 50, supplements that will help you to reset your energy so that and you'll find that the thing you call emotional pain will be gone in a day or two. You
Mm.
still you still care for the disease, you still care for the situation, but now you're in a better place to do something about it. You understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, and we want to thank Terrell Harris. He's in our webinar room giving a testimony. He said he had a massive stroke 2 months after his dad uh, passed away.
Well, Sarah Harris, my condolence. I don't like the word condolence because it means, suffering with. It's French. I'm suffering with you. Okay. But you know what I mean when I say my condolence, meaning, I will you wellness in, the death of your family and things of that nature. But yes, there are insurance actuaries, okay, that shows that after critical event in people's lives, the majority of people suffer some illness or death or whatever following the loss of a spouse or family member, of a job, or you lose your property, things of that nature. Why? It's not because it is natural to get sick when something happens. It's that you need to apply your life to developing yourself spiritually. You see that? And prepare yourself for these challenging events in life. You see that?
Shechem, you say that it's not natural, and that is such a critical point because it sure seems normal or average or so universal people's experience of suffering when they have that type of an event. So is that
Yes, the negative effect comes from the mind and the psyche. You see that? But you also have something called the spirit, which is higher than the mind and the psyche. So, in other words, it's natural. It's a natural response of the mind and the psyche, but not of the spirit. So, if you cultivated the spirit, you will find that your mind and your psyche will not respond that way. You understand what I'm saying to you? As a matter of fact, Osada said it's 50 years. We just buried, on Saturday, the singer, Ankara Hetep Amen, right? And if you saw his wife and many of his daughter and family members, okay, they didn't fall apart. And this is something that we've experienced in the past 50 years that we have been doing our funerary ceremonies, that the people who took our courses and studied our meditation system, they were able to remain peaceful and calm. You see that? Hurting over a loss doesn't prove that you care more. You see that? And when you're hurting over a loss, it is damaging your health further, and you need to reverse that in the best way possible. There's no profit in you hurting yourself because you lost someone or you lost something. You see that? It happens. It's like, you know what? You suffered an accident, right? You stub your toes. Okay, what do? Do you keep the pain going, or you try to do something to get rid of the pain? You do something to get rid of the pain. You see that? And if the pain, if let's say the pain continues for 100 days more than it should, you would say, oh, something is wrong, right? If you go to the doctor and says, okay, you stubbed your toes 6 months ago, that pain should have gone away, in a week or two from when the event happened. So the pain continues for 100 days past when it should have gone. The doctor will say something is wrong here. So the same thing. If you have a loss in your life, okay, fine, you have the pain. Then you use some spiritual methods. You see, to get rid of that bodily tension, that incorrect breathing that you call emotional pain, to get rid of that reaction. Is that clear? Because every day
how to get rid of negative thoughts in that process.
Well, that's what the meditation will do. In the Mod 11 Laws of Health and Success, you write a script. There's scripts in there that will help you to change the way your mind works. You cannot will the negative thoughts away. You have to use the meditation system. You see that? To reprogram the mind from keep doing that mental chatter that keeps you from falling asleep, which makes things worse for you. It increases the suffering. You're not sleeping enough, or you're not sleeping deeply, and things of that nature. You see that?
All right. So we have Diane, who is on Facebook with us, and she says, I started seeing a trauma therapist who does something called brain spotting. They're not sure why it works, but looking for emotions that are locked at certain places I look at. Do you know why it's effective?
In other words, you know, like once more again, what you call an emotional event is really a physiological event that is connected to certain thoughts. You with me? Okay. Now, the brain, people say the brain, but the brain is a system. The brain is composed of about maybe some 50 different, you know, little organs in there. You have the hippocampus, you know, the amygdala, you know, all of these, you know, the prefrontal lobes, you know, and things of that nature, the substantia nigra, you know, all of these brain parts and tissues or whatever, they work together to keep to keep you positive and keep you responding properly. So this brain spotting therapist is looking at what part of your brain is malfunctioning. You see that the amygdala, the hippocampus, the hypothalamus, you know, etc. What part of your brain is more engaged, you know, in your trauma and so forth, and then through massage or through, you know, acupressure or acupuncture or through certain, you know, supplements that address, like for example, the hypothalamus, you know, becomes deficient in zinc when you suffer trauma. It uses up all of that zinc stored. Or maybe there was no zinc stored in there because your diet was poor in zinc. You know, most people diet, you know, is poor in certain critical nutrients, in iodine and zinc and copper. People just get enough amino acids and starches, but not enough of the subtler, you know, substances needed. A lot of people don't believe in taking vitamin supplements and things of that nature. So the thing is that what the doctor is doing is looking for those brain centers, okay, that governs, you know, learning and memory, you know, and behavior. You see that? Okay.
Mm-hmm. So another related question about the brain, Orak Men in our webinar room says, when a person learns how not to suffer using meditation, does their brain grow and or replace the gray matter in the brain that was programmed with the suffering?
That is an excellent question. It's making me a better lecturer than I am because it makes me say that the longer the process that you call suffering and grieving goes on, the more, you know, gray matter and the glial cell, the white connecting cell, brain tissues, you're losing. So that once you put a stop to that pain that you call suffering and grieving or worrying, okay, with meditation, okay, and qigong and exercise and proper diet, okay, then now your brain will begin to manufacture more gray matter and more glial or connecting tissues. You see that? At one time, it was believed that you were born with all the brain cells that you will ever need because there's so many brain cells, and that your brain will not renew itself. But that's not true. They've now discovered what they call plasticity, where the brain will renew itself and make more, you know, gray matter and white matter. But you have to meditate and eat a high-powered nutrition, you see, and engage in, you know, a certain amount of aerobics 3 times a week, at least 150 hours of aerobic every week, you know, and especially something like qigong and yoga and breathing techniques. In other words, you know, watch less TV and listen to less music and spend more time taking care of the higher part of your being.
Mm-hmm. And we have Sakai, who's in our webinar room, and she says, How does a person with chronic pain or chronic illness transcend the physical experience of suffering?
Well, the physical experience of suffering. Okay, you see, people conflate physical pain with suffering. Okay, when you have a chronic physical pain, that in itself is not suffering. You see, when you have a chronic pain or pain is of any kind, if it could be momentary pain or chronic pain, okay, it's your reaction to it. You see that? Some people have what we call a low pain threshold, meaning that as soon as they have a pain, their body tenses up, their breathing goes haywire, okay, and the mental chatter, I want to get rid of this, I want this to stop, that chatter begins to play in their minds over and over and over again, along with tension throughout the body. So what they got to do is to learn to relax the entire body, relax the area. Okay, stop armoring yourself. Okay, that's what people do when they have physical pain, intense pain. They armor themselves. You see that? So if you learn how to meditate, I'm not going to say to you at this point, just meditate, because you have to learn how to meditate, and you have to meditate extensively. You see that? We have helped people overcome physical pain, okay, through meditation. Took a while, but eventually it went away. You see that? Okay. I, for one, had Lyme disease, that affected my joints, my knees. And years ago, I woke up one morning and it took me like 10 minutes to get out of bed. Took me like 2-3 minutes to flex my fingers, my hands. I said, whoa, what is this? Flea bit me, right, on one of the retreats that we went to in Virginia. And I came down with, very troubling, knee pain. And, when I went in the literature, it says, most people with that illness, Lyme disease, end up in a wheelchair. And I said, no, not me. So I visualized myself walking, as I always do, at a brisk pace, for many blocks. And that's what I'm doing today. You see that? I've had the Lyme disease for about 10 years now, and I'm still out there walking at a nice brisk pace. And the pain, is really 100% gone, except for another pain that I got from a, accident in a car where I came down the wrong way on my knee, and and I think I strained the meniscus. A lot of some people, athletes, know what I'm talking about, but I got rid of it through meditation. There's certain dentists, for example, that have mastered the art of hypnosis with certain clients, where they perform full dental work without anesthesia. There are heart doctors that, heart surgeons that do open heart surgery with certain patients without anesthesia. What is hypnosis? It's a matter of putting people into a state of altered consciousness and suggest to them that, look, your body will respond with pain to alert you that something is happening that should not be happening. But once you know consciously that you are going to drill into the mouth, okay, you can put that thought into the subconscious, like, hey, there's no need for pain because we know that what is being done is necessary. It's on the internet. Hypnosis and open heart surgery, hypnosis, on dental work, meaning that's thought, mind over matter. But this system and so forth is not, hypnosis is a cousin to meditation. And you can see the same effect. You see, the only difference is that hypnotherapists are licensed to do this, whereas meditation instructors are not. But you can teach yourself meditation, you see, through the right course, the right teacher, and achieve the same results.
All right. And coming up on the first hour, second, we have Amma. She's on Facebook with us. And she says, can you elaborate on the amygdala and the limbic system and its relationship on trauma and how breathing and other modalities can help the body to heal.
Okay, that the amygdala is part of the limbic system. It's part of the so-called, mammalian brain or the midbrain, right? And the amygdala is very much involved. First of all, it's involved in subconscious autonomous, reactions. So it's not something you can control with your will. You see that? But the amygdala is very much involved in learning, especially where the learning involves pleasure or displeasure. You see that? Okay, so when there's problem with the amygdala, which could come from dietary insufficiencies or toxins in your diet and things of that nature, the amygdala goes haywire. And so you have problems, cognitive problems in learning and things of that nature. The amygdala itself and the limbic system is the entire, collection of, brain systems, brain organs, organelles, and things of that nature. Okay, and but the limbic system, is very much connected with critical physiological functions. So if you indulge your emotions, the mental chatter and the visions of doom and negativity, okay, it will have a negative effect on the limbic system and affect your ability to socialize with other people. You see that? But at the same time, to the limbic system is we inherited the animal responses that were put in place back some 500 million years ago. Why did we inherit those responses? Because the limbic system is connected to our critical physiological functions of breathing and the heart rate and digestion and things of that nature, which is important for you to learn how to meditate and breathe properly, okay, to make sure you don't damage. You see that? It's very interesting that one of the subject matter that has been neglected by most schools and most doctors and professionals is the knowledge of the brain. The brain is the next frontier of knowledge, not artificial intelligence. It's the natural intelligence of the brain. The brain is several trillion times more complex than any AI will be. My beloved, take time to learn everything you can learn about the brain and neurotransmitters, and things of that nature, and how to fix the brain of people, okay, their cognitive abilities and things of that nature with homeopathic medicine, Chinese herbs, acupuncture, and proper nutrition. The things like ashwagandha, the Ayurvedic herbs, the Ayurvedic medicine, a lot of beautiful things that enhances the functions of the brain. You see that? Okay, so take time out to learn these things, and you will find that you will make a very good contribution to mankind. One of the mistakes that our young people make, is believing that most of the critical information on health and science has already been discovered. No, 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 no. Less than 1%, the knowledge of health has been discovered. It's a wide arena waiting for geniuses in our community to come together and put together for the world. You see that?
So, Shekim, will there be recommendations in the course of supplementation specifically to help people who have had a history of years of suffering, or the wrong response to challenges that's perhaps exhausted their store of minerals and things and functions
Well, in the course,
transmitted?
when it comes to supplements for different conditions, right? I will give people internet sources to go and study. You see that? Because You need to educate yourself and work with a health professional. Okay. Um, when you go on the internet, the people who are selling this product, they want to make money. You see that? But a lot of these natural agents can interact with certain medications. You see that? Or have a negative effect with certain conditions. So, so you need to study, educate yourself. Okay. So I'm not going to put myself in a negative financial situation by telling people, or take this supplement and that supplement, whatever. I will give you direction to educate yourself,
Wonderful.
which is what you should be doing.
So Pamela, in our webinar room, she says, once obtained, is the peace permanent? Or is there a continual cultivation and attainment of this peace while experiencing hardships encountered while living in this physical realm? Meaning, is the state of Amen once reached a true manifestation throughout all of life's experiences?
Aha, good question. Great question. I have a book in my library somewhere that I studied years ago, right? I'm a pianist, and the author says that if you want to become a great pianist, you have to learn to find the mid ground between tension and relaxation. And that mid ground between tension and relaxation is peace. You see that? So when you hear a great pianist or a great violinist or a great singer perform, they have permanently established the peace in their physical and psychical nature to deliver that performance. So yes, when you work on the meditation in the Mount 11 Laws course, you will establish the peace permanently, not only in this life, but in the next life you come back. Because once you master the peace in this lifetime, you need to come back to help God march mankind to the goal of evolution, which is to bring forth a Homo spiritualis. You see that? Okay? So yes, the peace, once you master it, you have it forever. You see? While you're perfecting it, there will be ups and downs, wins and losses, like everything. You see that? But the day will come, if you're sincere and you keep up with it, you get it.
All right. And Melanated Magic asks, how long would it take on average to heal the brain from smoking with just using breathing and meditation?
Well, that depends on the degree of brain damage. Some people, you didn't say smoking what? But let's assume you're smoking tobacco, right? Why do people get addicted to tobacco? Because tobacco, excites the substantia nigra in the brain to produce dopamine, and that dopamine relaxes you. It increases your pleasure ability. You see that? But then the effect of tobacco only lasts about 15 minutes. That's why people on tobacco, on cigarettes, they could smoke a whole pack of cigarettes in one day. You see that? Because they got to keep renewing the pleasurable experience, because tobacco itself doesn't taste good. It's the pleasurable experience they get from it, but it's only a 15-minute thing. You see that? If you're smoking marijuana, okay, the half-life of marijuana is like 3 months. Okay, 90 days, meaning it takes one joint, right? It takes 90 days to remove that out of your system, because unlike nicotine, the CBD is, lipophilic, meaning that it likes fatty. So the CBD will store itself into the fatty tissues of the nervous system and the different parts of the body. So it takes 90 days. So depending on how much you smoke, okay, your body keeps storing it and accumulating it. And I'm going to tell you, not enough studies have been done on the long-term basis, the long-term effect of this storage of CBD oil in your fatty tissues. You with me? So the question is, it all depends on where were you when you start, how healthy was your brain when you started to smoke, how much you smoke, how long did you smoke for? So there's the answer.
Mm-hmm. And we are coming up past the first hour. I know you had some other things to summarize, but Ona Hawk asks, what is the role of emotions in our spiritual development?
Well, if you study my teaching, you will find that I say that, well, that the only two legitimate emotions, and that's peace and joy. You see that? Because all the other emotions damage your health, it damages your IQ. Okay, when you are in an emotional state, your IQ drops many, many points. Your health disintegrates. And nothing that harms your health, your well-being, and your potential for survival, you know, is natural to you. If something diminishes you, you cannot say it's natural. Only that which elevates you, elevates your survival and elevates your success is natural to you.
Mm-hmm.
You see that? So the role of emotions, anger, fear, worry, grief, and so forth, these are, reactions that you inherited from the past, the animal and the humanoid, stages of evolution. That's another topic that the world has ignored because the Western theory of evolution, was not properly put together. Right now, evolution is not over. If evolution is over with all Homo sapiens, then evolution is a failure because Homo sapiens is a very sorry creature. Yeah, right. This Homo sapiens have given us all of these catastrophic wars, killing millions and millions of people, killing each other, things of that nature, destroyed so much civilization, so much accomplishment. And right now, this Homo sapiens is on the brink of destroying the earth itself.
Mm-hmm.
So that this man cannot be the epitome of the goal of evolution. So we inherited the hominoid, the Neanderthal, the Homo erectus, the Jurassic, programming of brains. We have all of that built into our brain. You see that? And it is this animal response that we call emotions. You see that? The word animal means animation. Animation is kin to what? Emotions.
Mm-hmm.
You see, when you function from a motive, you're not functioning from reasoning or truth. You're focusing from something that's animating you, an animal within your brain. You see that? So emotions are things that you need to transcend. You see that? Not block, not suppress, but through the spiritual alchemical process.
Mm-hmm.
And I teach that in volume 5. You see that in volume 6 of the Medunitaire.
So what about the so-called positive emotions, Shechem, like love, people would say?
Well, love is not an emotion per se. Love is more than emotion. Love is a whole attitude of life where you give, seeking nothing in return. You see that? And for you to give, seeking nothing in return, you see, even if the person you're giving to does not appreciate or does you wrong, it requires for you to have mastered the peace and the joy. Love is the application of the peace and the joy that you have cultivated.
Mm-hmm.
People call love an emotion, but love is not an emotion. It's a attitude, a spiritual attitude. It's a spiritual application of peace and joy, which is happiness.
Wow. Ooh. Well, we have time for just one more before we run out now. The Titanic. Okay. He says many naturopaths say fluoride is a neuron toxin. Does fluoride damage the pineal gland, and can the pineal gland recover from calcification?
I don't know if studies have been done to remove calcium deposits from the pineal gland, but if first of all, you have to learn about the sources of calcification. Okay, in other words, most people become intoxicated with calcium by taking too much calcium in supplements, or calcium added to the water, what we call, what's called heavy water. You're the expert in water, right? Heavy water is water with calcium in it, correct?
I'm not familiar with that reference of heavy water.
Okay. Well, a lot of water throughout the United States has calcium, too much calcium in it, and they call it heavy water. You see that? And that calcium will be deposited in the soft tissues, just not simply the pineal gland, and so forth. And fluoride, you can go on the internet and check it out. It's put in many toothpaste, right? And things of the nature, supposedly to prevent tooth decay or whatever. And there are articles that claim, okay, I haven't verified this myself, but there are many articles that claim that the fluoride, in these toothpaste and mouthwashes, and they damage, they're poisonous to your system, because fluorine, is not one of the safe chemicals to consume. So you want to learn about fluorine and fluorides and things of that nature. You see that?
All right. Well, we are a little over time, Shekim, but I know you wanted to speak about Thursday and how it relates to the material we went over tonight, and the fact that we're going to be having webinars going forward on Tuesday, and on Thursday will be the application of that particular information.
Yeah, well, application is for members who have bought the course, right? Because they have all the mantras and the scripts and the breathing techniques and things of that nature. So on Thursday, I will be talking about how to tweak your script. You see that, to deal with something you're suffering with, which mantras will help you best with different types of sufferings, whether the suffering is from grieving or worrying, or blaming yourself, self-blaming, and they're all kind of, so there will be, instruction on how to tweak the scripts, you see, so that people can learn how to apply the teaching, that course, to apply to their well-being.
Oh, it's great that you mentioned that. One person did ask a question I missed about, lack of motivation, and that leading to misperformance and then self-recrimination.
Well, lack of motivation that's not coming from, severe trauma. Could be from a lack of dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that's called, the pleasure or the motivation neurotransmitter. You see that? Okay. And on the internet, you can go study the amino acid L-tyrosine, which, the body, which is the precursor of dopamine, and, and so on. But the dopamine also tends to elevate the blood pressure. So you have to be careful in how you use it, with the directions from a doctor, a professional, even though it's over the counter. So study it well before you take it. And if you're taking other medications, then you got to consult with your doctor. But, the L-tyrosine. The other thing, of course, is the meditation, the Heru module, okay? In our Master 11 Laws of God, Master 11 Laws of Health, Wealth, and Success course, the Heru, focusing on the Heru module, okay? will give you that, as well as the Hutin module will help you to spark your motivation.
Mm.
You see that?
All
Well,
right.
that maybe we can have a webinar on that, because some people lack motivation because they've been beaten down so much from life that they're now identifying with their human instead of their divine part of life. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you might need something like the Osir module to reaffirm your divinity. You see that?
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, well, it's about that time. So, Shekim, if you have any closing remarks you want to summarize for us.
Well, I like to go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, that was it. I just wanted you to have the opportunity, of course, to summarize and to, um, you know, give people clear direction on what's next.
Well, I will end with the statement that I opened up with. You know, when you are suffering, okay, you're suffering from suffering and not from the things you think you're suffering from. You see that? So you might think that you're suffering because you lost, a loved one, or you lost your money, or you lost your health, or your youthfulness, or something. No, you see, you are suffering because these thoughts are causing your body to go into a chronic tension lock. You see that? Okay? And negative upper chest breathing and shallow breathing, which has a whole cascade of negative neurotransmitters in your system and enzymes that shouldn't be there and so on. And you have to, understand that the first step towards removing suffering is to detension the body. Detension, meaning, learn hatha yoga so they can stretch the body and keep it elastic and things like nature. Learn breathing techniques to replenish the brain cells. Learn the mantras that we use to awaken the spirit, or the spirit is really information that the mind needs. The positive, people talk about positive thinking. The positive thinking doesn't come from a book. Positive thinking will be given to you by your spirit. Just once you awaken your spirit will send positive thoughts into your mind to enable your mind to reprogram your psyche, so that your psyche can then now reprogram your physical body and your social environment. So these are my parting words to you.
All right. Well, we got a lot of appreciation in the chat, and we are looking forward to continuing receiving this wonderful wisdom. So those of you that had a few questions about where to find the course and all that, I'm going to go over that after we let Shekim take his leave. So thank you again on behalf of our audience, Shekim, for your wonderful work, and we wish you well, power, peace, and blessings. Shekim.
Give me a little bit more than a wish. Give me a will. Will me well.
Yes, we envision it.
Thank you so much.
Anet.
Thank you. Have a good evening, all of you.
All right. I want to thank everybody for being with us. We will be back next Tuesday with a webinar, and you'll get an announcement. If you have liked our Facebook page, if you followed our YouTube page, and you can, of course, take advantage of the recording of this webinar, as well as all of the previous webinars on our SoundWise platform. So you can go type in that address, bit.ly/Kamit. That's with a KAMIT cast. And it'll take you to the page where you can sign up and hey, help us hit 100. Help us hit our first 1,000 subscribers tonight by passing the good word on to your friends and your family. Thank you again and have a great evening.
Love is given,
Peace and love.
expecting nothing in return. Love is giving, expecting nothing in return. Nothing in return. Love is giving, expecting nothing in return. Nothing in return. True love is giving, expecting nothing in return. Nothing in return. I am you, you and me. The love we share inside is heavenly. This is true for all to see, that our souls unify in a common destiny. The time is now, let's start today. Gotta see each other in the highest way, 'cause everyone is a reflection of all there is. Nothing in return, nothing in return. I'm giving, expecting. Nothing in return, nothing in return, nothing in return, nothing in return, nothing in return. I'm giving, expecting. Nothing in return, nothing in return. Nothing in return. Nothing in return. As above, so below. Our love's connected from the head to my toes. You say it's true, I say I know heart to heart. It's the only way we're gonna flow. What goes up must come down. Gonna spread our love and chant the secret sound. Everyone is a reflection of all there is. Love is giving, expecting nothing in return. Nothing in return. Love is giving, expecting nothing in return. Nothing in return. True love is giving, expecting nothing in return. Love is giving. Expect love.